we'll dive into the Ant Edwards, the comments that have recently come out about his stance on the players in the 90s, the old era versus the new era, the conversation that we've been going through for years and years now. And this is now the next little sprinkle in the bucket of that conversation. So, Ant Edwards, as we get to what he said, got to pull it up here. It kind of grinded my gears just because I'm like, oh, and I like you, I like you when you said this, and here's where I got to really try to, educate you or go in on you a little bit. And it ain't even really going in, but it's with love, and it's with love. It really is, because I like you as a player. We've been very vocal that we are fans of you at the ESFS podcast, especially after these Olympics too, to everything you did. Shouts to you, bro, but right now you bugging, and we got to call you to the carpet as a basketball player. All right, so Ant, he basically said, and the comments were out on the skill growth in the NBA. He made comments about this. Comments are, they say it was tougher back then, referring to the 90s era, whatever, the old school. Then they say it was tougher back then than it is now, but I don't think anybody had skill back then. What? Repeat, I don't think anybody had skill back then. Michael Jordan was the only one that really had skill. So that's why when they saw Kobe, they were like, oh my God. But now everybody has skill. Yeah, Ant, you bugging, my man. I'm sorry you bugging. I got to go big crickets on that. I wish I had a boo to everything you just said. And I know a lot of it is the fact that you are a newer, younger basketball player. You just really got to the league, not like you ain't even been in the league 10 years now, and you from the newer generation of people and these like younger, whatever generation you want to call it. And a lot of them are just very, like, they don't really have a good understanding of things in the past. Now, from my era, when I was coming up in your age, like you 20s, early 20s, mid 20s, like I had a huge respect for everything that came before me and understanding how things got to where I'm at a point where I'm able to eat and create a life or a lane for myself off of something that I actually love. And I ain't make it to the NBA, so I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm on your level or was on your level or anything like that, but just being honest, like basketball has been basketball for a long time. So just being able to watch basketball as a basketball player, you should understand that comments like nobody had skill back then except Mike, because you're going to show the utmost praise to Mike because who's not? But end of the day, bro, you bugging out. You bugging out. Players have had skill for a long time before you even sniffed picking up a basketball as a young kid, and I know KD's your favorite player, very skillful athlete, skillful player in general. So I'm not knocking anything about KD's game, but players were skilled before KD, like years and years before KD. So on top of that, you saying that players weren't that skilled or Mike was the only one that has skill. You then say that now everybody has skill, which I can understand. I would say, as a person who has watched the game for a long time, been a part of the game for a long time, I do think across the board, players are more skilled with the fundamentals of basketball, the things they're able to do with the ball, how they can manipulate it this way, and their footwork goes this way and that. We're like, yeah, all that shit is picked up. So I guess players are more skilled, but I think that's the evolution of the game. But players being able to play in a game that has gotten a lot softer and has had more freedom for them to use their skill to manipulate whatever situation they can on a basketball court to affect themselves or their team as far as scoring, points, this is that, whatever. Like all that shit is cool. But at the end of the day, the game is a lot different now in general too. So some of the quote unquote skills that players are allowed to get away with now are the things that have happened to where they've grown, or again, the evolution of the game wasn't really that prominent back then because the style of play didn't lend to that, And I don't really think you was watching a lot of these dudes back then. And so I'm going to give you my list of a few guys that if you say Mike was the only one had skill, you must have not been watching basketball. And I know you weren't watching basketball like that because you may have been too young, but you should have some people who are OGs around you or just people that know a little bit better. Hopefully they called you. Because I'm going to be the one to call you right now via the internet. And we just going to go through a few on my list. If we just going to go guards, of course we know Mike is the pinnacle. Mike is Mike, whatever, But Clyde Drexler was also a very skilled basketball player. Watched him. He gave Mike problems. In a lot of series, a lot of situations, like he gave Mike problems often. And he gave a lot of people problems, which is why he's one of the better basketball players in the 90s in general. Penny Hardaway in the 90s. Come on now. Penny had handle. Penny could shoot the ball. Penny could pass. Penny could do a lot of different things that a very versatile player. So he wasn't just skilled at one thing. So I don't know. Like who's showing you 90s clips is what I'm saying. Are you watching these 90s clips? Because you've been in basketball a long time. I know your coach who coached you in college, Tom Crean, he coached me in college. So I do understand what Tom Crean preaches and the kind of people that he puts in front of his basketball players and like exposes them to. Tom Crean was one of the first people that told me watch film of Boris Diaw because he was like, I think your game could like mirror his. This is while I'm in college. So all throughout college, at that point, I'm watching Boris Diaw, just trying to say, all right, let me pick up this, let me pick up that, let me make sure I can be as versatile as he's a big body. He can also pass. He could shoot a little bit. He could penetrate. Like all those different things were what I was like looking at because people I was being schooled by showed me. So I don't understand how somebody doesn't get you to understand how skilled players were back then too. Keeping it guard, we'll go point guards. John Stockton, bro. Come on. John Stockton wasn't skilled. I'm going to let you think on that. Let y'all think on that. John Stockton, very skilled basketball player. If we're talking handles, Tim Hardaway, very skilled basketball player as far as able to handle the ball and put a lot of people on skates back then in the 90s. Rod Strickland, just throwing out another one. John Starks, we're throwing out another one. Reggie Miller, I ain't even get to him yet. I ain't even get to Reggie yet. Skilled basketball player. Sure, Steph broke the record in a lot less time than Reggie was, whatever. We understand all that. But again, that's the progression of the game. But Reggie was a dog, and he was very, very skilled as well. So I don't know who's, again, going back to who's schooling you or who's helping you understand this level of skill back then was still high level. Maybe it's a little bit different now, and we give all that credit. But you can't shit on the whole era to say Mike was the only skilled person. We can move forward to the forward position. Charles Barkley. Come on, man. Charles Barkley was a 90s player. Very skilled. Round, mound, to rebound, and all that shit. Yeah, you got credit for being tough and a bigger guy, but Charles Barkley was skilled, could handle the ball, could pass, couldn't really shoot it, but great finisher at the rim. Like, come on, these are skills that you players try to master today as well. David Robinson, skilled as a big man. Skilled. Super skilled. Hakeem Olajuwon, one of the most skilled big men ever, in my opinion. Come on. The Dream Shake? The Dream Shake? Are you serious? The Dream Shake? Where do you think people got all that shit from in the post? Like, that's Hakeem, bro. And Hakeem in his primes was a dog and very, very skilled as a big man. So I don't know where these young people are getting their information from. And it's all out there. It's on YouTube. So it's not like you can't see it. You can't find it if you really want it for you to say something like nobody had skill. Like, come on. And again, I'm not shitting on the young people because I have understood lately that it's not about my opinion on what they should think, but it's also about trying to educate them. They're in a different perspective, and I know as a young kid that I probably didn't think the same way as a lot of the people come from before me thought, which is also fine too. Like, certain shit just progresses, but sometimes you just got to reel it back in. And again, Ant, like, really, really respect you as a basketball player, bro. I'm seeing you growing. I'm seeing the things you're doing, but players from the 90s not having no skill was a bug out, on my opinion. And I know you riding high. You putting out freestyles with yourself on the gold medal, like you run around. You've been with KD. You here, you there. I see you working on your game. You putting out your workout clips and all that shit. I respect it. So I like where you're going, but sometimes you just got to get called to the carpet because you're a little bit off on this one. Not even a little bit. You big off on this one. And sometimes it takes somebody who might have seen it a little bit different than you because I'm older than you. Gotta let you know. But we'll see what happens next season, man. I'm really looking forward to everything coming up with the NBA. But I mean, yeah, that one was a little bit off. For me, man.